everybody is seated, we will start soon. Please take your seats so we can start with the next talk. Thank you very much. So hello, so we are continuing after our short break. I hope all of you are rested, maybe refreshed. Our next participant and next speaker is Stefano Milanesi, who will speak about beyond the future of factory. So Stefano, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Alexandra. So, dobro rano, is it okay? Wow, today I did it. Okay, so welcome everybody. I'm your Italian friend, your Italian buddy today. And I'm Stefano Milanesi, I'm from Italy, so a little bit about my background. I have been a software engineer for part of my life. Then I've run my own business as an entrepreneur in the software industry for about 19 years. And as of now, I am a professional Scrum trainer with Scrum.org and professional Kanban trainer with ProKanban.org. And so I'm mainly training, consulting, working with teams, and this is what I basically do in my everyday working life. But let's talk about flow, about Kanban, about data, about evidence today, and let's have again a perspective about that. So, how many times you have asked this question, which is when will it be done? So maybe ordering your takeaway food, when will it be done? Or renovating your home, when will it be finished? When will it be ready? And many times you have been asked this question, working on your product, working on your project, which is when will it be finished? When will it be done? And I think that the thing is, what is done? What does it mean, finished? What is that concept? For example, if you're working in agility, done is a concept related to quality measures of your product, or better, a shared understanding inside the team and with stakeholders, product owners about what is quality. What does it mean that we have finished our work? Maybe you have a definition of done if you're working with Scrum, and this is a good example of what done could mean, a shared understanding, visible, transparent to everybody. Good? So, we know what we have to do, at least we know what's the quality that we have to put inside our product, and which is just already a good point. And now let's have a look on how to do that work. For example, Kanban. We've talked about Kanban this morning. So we're talking about Kanban a little bit now as well. Kanban is much, if not all, about flow, flow of value. And whenever we talk about flow of value, we mean flow across our process of product development. And I would stress a word which is potential, because it's not actual value until it has been delivered to the customers, into the customer's hand, until we have a proof that it is actually value. So this is what Kanban is about. Why optimizing flow is so important, is, I would say, crucial for most of the products that we are developing. This is a very simple example of an intersection, so a crossroad between two roads. And this is a traditional one. So imagine traffic lights somewhere in the crossroads. And this is a different concept of intersection, which is a roundabout, which I would say is something that improves a normal, traditional intersection. And many intersections have been transformed along the years the other way. And why? Because basically of flow. Because we have advantages in roundabouts. We have reduction in delays, so less delays, less waiting, more capacity, so more vehicles that can pass by the crossroads, less stops, so we don't have to stop at traffic lights so often, and we have a continuous traffic flow, so it's also more predictable in a way. But it's not the whole thing. There's something, an aspect that I think is even more important, which is this aspect. With the traditional intersection, we have, you see the red dots and the yellow squares. We have many possible conflict points. With the roundabout, the conflict points are way less. So 1/3, 1/4 of the possible conflict points that we have with an intersection, which gives us a very important message about issues that we can have, more issues that we can have with an approach which doesn't somehow favor flow. So less issues, less blocking problems in our work. And I think this is one of the most important aspects of this. Now, so let's have a look to the Kanban board. We have talked about Kanban this morning, yesterday during workshops. So now I'm just doing a recap of everything. So I'm giving you information taken by the Kanban guide. Anyway, this is a typical Kanban board. Yesterday during the workshops, one of the differences that came out was using a Kanban board is different from doing Kanban. I mean, the Kanban board is a representation. Doing Kanban means applying a strategy. So we are going a little bit deeper on that in order to understand why it is a strategy. This is the QR code to the Kanban guide, the official one. It's very quick, nimble, very quickly readable, and free, of course, to use. There are 3 practices which are the bedrock of every Kanban implementation, which are defining and visualizing a workflow. So Kanban is all about visualizing the flow of value, potential value, along the development stream. Actively managing the items in the workflow. If we visualize the workflow and we don't do anything, we don't make decisions based on what we are seeing, then it's pointless. So we need to do something based on what we are seeing. And improve it, because we can make decisions and make even better decisions based on empirical data, based on our experience. Let's start with the definition of workflow, which is one of the most important aspects of a Kanban system. So what is a work item, first of all? So what is the unit of work that we are dealing with in a Kanban system? So it could be a user story, could be product backlog item, could be tasks, whatever you think is a meaningful unit of work. So define that. Then start and finishing point. When our work actually starts and when it is deemed as finished. And these 2 points are very important because flow metrics are all based on these 2 points. Then we have the workflow states, very popular. So the columns of our Kanban board, which are, again, value-added activities that we do on our product. So the states. Work in progress, we have talked about work in progress this morning. I'm talking about it just a little bit. Work in progress is important because it's affecting our flow. As more we have work in progress, the more we have to take care of it in order to avoid delays. And we can do control of work in progress in several ways. Kanban doesn't tell you exactly how to do that, but for example, putting work in progress limits on your states is a good starting point. So you can't have more than 2 work items in a development state or 3 in tests and so on. Explicit flow policy. So we need to know what we need to do when the work is finished in one of the states. So when is it finished? So when discovery is finished and we can move the work to the design state, for example, and same for the other states. And which are the work items that I'm picking first? So maybe ordering somehow, some kind of ordering, some kind of ranking that I have, but anyway, it's written on our flow policies. For example, going from test to deployed, usually for Scrum teams, is meeting the definition of done. So when the definition of done is met, then I can move to the deployed state. Last, service level expectation, which is a forecast. So a forecast of what? Of how long it should take for a work item to go from the start to the finishing point. It's 2 numbers, the number of days and a likelihood. So in this case, in this example, 85%. So we can read it as 85%, we forecast that 85% of work items will be finished in 8 days or less. So this is helpful for communicating with stakeholders, with management, with customers. And let's have a look to the metrics that we have. Metrics are important because they help us to understand the health of our system. So as we said, it's pointless to represent work if we can't measure what's happening. So work in progress, the work items that have started but have not finished. So what is we are currently working on. The throughput, which is the number of work items finished per unit of time. So how fast we are working on our product. Work item age. This is maybe the most important of the metrics, of the flow metrics, because it's the amount of elapsed time between when a work item is started and today, the current time. So it applies just to work in progress. And why is it so important? Because when we see that work items are aging too much, this means that we need to do something. We have seen this morning with Stefano that diagram, the work in progress, the work item age diagram, which is one of the last that he showed with the different colored areas. That's a great diagram that can help us to understand where work items are aging too long. And we need to do something, maybe pair on work items, try to find what's locking the work, swarm on the work item. The last of the 4 measures in a Kanban system is cycle time. Again, it's very important because it's the time that it is needed to go from start to finish. So it applies just to finish the work. And basically it's the time that we take to get feedback from the customer, or at least to deliver the work to the customer and wait for the feedback. And we go deeper on that later. So we have a system, we know what is done work, and now, as it happens very frequently in cooking shows like MasterChef, people are very happy because they have arrived to the latest column which is deployed, and they lift their hands to the air and say, "Finished, we have done." So work is deployed. We don't have to do anything more. And the gesture of lifting your hands is also like, I've done my part, now it's your business, okay? It's something like that. This is something that I found really often in teams. Like, deployed is finished. But is it actually finished? Do we have to bother of something else? Do we have to be concerned of what happens after? Because we don't know what happens. Maybe that the dish is very good and people appreciate it. Maybe not. Maybe that it's thrown to the air and goes into a recycle bin, which is not really beautiful. But anyway, it's something that sometimes we don't know, or that we know when it's maybe too late. So we are very focused on doing things, on being more efficient, of being more effective, more predictable, because the tools that we have seen so far improves these qualities. Okay, so they are really, really helpful. But is that enough? I mean, are we a feature machine whose purpose is just to crank out as many features as possible without thinking about the value that we are actually delivering? So we are doing everything the best way, but to what end? So are we solving our customers' problems? Because our customers don't want a razor. That's not what they really want. They want to get rid of hair in different parts of their bodies. No matter how you do that. Okay, that's the need that they have. And this is the focus that we need to have. So are we solving the right problem, and are we solving it the right way? Because maybe that we are solving it, but in a very cumbersome way, which is somehow unusable and not actually valuable. And now we tie back this concept to the concept of done that we talked about just a few minutes ago. So done for the customer is not just finished. Done for the customer means that what we've done is solving a problem that is usable and useful. That is valuable. And it makes a huge difference. So let's go back to our Kanban board and let's see if there's something missing here that we could add. So after deployment, is there something that we need to do, like, for example, validate what you're doing and somehow close a feedback loop, which is all about we do when we are working in agility? No? It rings a bell, definitely, I think. No? Closing feedback loops. And in order to make this even more explicit, so feedback loops that are closing, I would like to talk a little bit about another very important aspect, which is goals. So organizations exist for a single reason: to do something that they think they can uniquely are able to do. And so it's much about the goals that they have. We have different levels of goals. We can have strategic goals, so the broader ones, like, for example, product vision. We have long-term goals, which are closer, anyway, to today, which are intermediate goals, like for teams using Scrum, for example, product goals. And we have immediate tactical goals, which are the goals that we are trying to pursue in a very short time. Think about sprint goals. We are talking about, Scrum. Okay, think about sprint goals. And in order to get to sprint goals and progressively achieve intermediate and then strategic goals, we run experiments. So we have hypotheses, we implement them, we measure what we inspect, what these experiments led to, and then we adapt and make the best decision in order to proceed. So it's very important to have a correct, clear, transparent, and well-communicated perspective about goals. And how to define our goals, which is another important point. Gut feelings is okay, but don't just trust, for my experience, don't just trust gut feelings, which are good, but leverage actual data. I think it complements the whole thing in a very, I think, efficient and, I would say, effective way. So, okay, how can we collect data to validate our work? Now, this is something that I would like to share with you today, which are 4 different key value areas. So, 4 different perspectives that we can use to have a complete, at least more comprehensive view of what's the value of our product. For example, the first key value area is current value. So, what's the value of the product that we have now, today? The unrealized value. So, what are the customer expecting that we are not giving to them today? And this creates, you can understand, a gap between what is today and what will be, hopefully, tomorrow. Some examples. Current value. What are some metrics that we can use? These are examples. There are much more of this. Customer satisfaction. It's almost trivial, but sometimes we are not collecting it the right way. We are not collecting it maybe as frequently as it would be necessary. You can collect customer satisfaction, of course, in different ways, like surveys, like putting something in if it's an IT product, some functionality to collect directly the feedback from your application, for example. The product usage index, again, very often we are developing features that we think are killer features, and then we understand, sometimes too late, that those features are not used. So you spend 80% of your time and they are used maybe 1% on the total usage of the product. So product usage index is not just how much people are using your product, but the usage of every single feature of your product. Revenue per employee. It's quite different depending on the industry. Could be a good indicator, could be for some context. For some it's less, but anyway it's something that which should be used in a way. And very important, so we are working in Agile. We are working on a process which is basically human-driven. So monitoring employee satisfaction, understanding if we have an energized team, if they are motivated to work, it makes a huge difference, because this is something that they put inside the product itself. Stakeholders, it's more or less the same, because stakeholders, we need to know what they think about how the company is run, how the organization is run, how we are developing our product. So maybe that is something yes, which is important. They can support stakeholders, our product, and make it actually better. So this is for the current value. Again, it's something that we need to see, to measure very frequently, and understand if it is improving or declining. So it's pointless if we just measure employee satisfaction, for example, once a year. We need to do it very frequently. An example is maybe collecting during retrospectives. Unrealized value. Potential market share. So maybe that our product has new customer segments that we haven't addressed so far. So discovering it could be something meaningful, or understanding if we can grab some market part of the market share of our competitors with better functionalities, improving what they are already delivering. User satisfaction gap, which is the gap between what the users are experiencing today and what they would like to have. Again, there are ways of doing that through surveys, through integrating this inside your application and collecting data. If you want to talk about that, I can have some examples later. So, the desired customer experience, which is, again, what the customer is expecting. So trying to monitor what we are not delivering today, but the customer expects to have. These are metrics which are more outbound, more related to the customer. Then there are two more key value areas which are related to our capability of actually delivering what our customers are demanding. So, how able we are to create value. And this is more inbound, more related to the organization. So, ability to innovate. How effective we are about the improvement of our product. And time to market. So, our responsiveness. How fast are we in terms of delivering value? Delivering something new, something valuable. Let's go through these two with the examples. So, ability to innovate, which are some metrics that we can collect. Innovation rate. So, how many resources, costs, we are spending on something which is innovative, which is actually new in our product, divided by the total cost that we are spending on the product, including all the work that you need to sustain the product, the existing product. Innovation rate. The time spent in context switching, which is something that we talked about just an hour ago with Stefan. I share the same data, so I'm not repeating, but context switching can actually kill your team, can kill your productivity. So try to find ways to monitor it and to find solution in order to minimize it. eliminating it, maybe it's just a dream, but at least minimizing it. Defect trends, so bugs, defects that we have in our product, are they increasing or decreasing? They can actually be a problem in terms of innovation. Whenever we spend more time fighting technical debt on our product rather than spending time in innovation, that should actually ring a bell. And time to market. As for time to market, we have, for example, release frequency. So how frequently are we able to release value, which is important. So delivering every 6 months is quite different than delivering several times a day, which happens with many teams, maybe with pipelines, DevOps pipelines, and so on. Lead time. So how long does it take from creating the hypothesis to delivering the hypothesis to the final customer? Mean time to repair, again, is so important. So we talked about bugs. So whenever we have a problem, how long does it take to resolve the customer problem? This is value, again. This is something that can allow us to have new customers or lose customers if we are not able to manage it. So we have seen 4 key value areas, and now I'm just discovering what's the framework behind these 4 key value areas, which is evidence-based management. It's a framework created by scrum.org. You can find the ABM guide on the web, and it's basically about crafting goals and validating the value of your product based on different perspectives. Some are more market-oriented, others are more oriented to the organization. So we've seen a lot of metrics, and so there are many others that can be tracked. Anyway, it's not much about the number of measures that we are tracking, but tracking the right ones in our context for our situation. So it's more about finding the right ones in our case for our product. But anyway, my piece of advice is try to have the 4 perspectives. So try to find some metric for each and every perspective. Because if you want to have a complete idea of the value of your product, you need the 4 of them. Okay, now let's go back to our Kanban, because we started from here and we want, hopefully, to end here. So we talked about validation, we talked about closing the feedback loop, we have talked about the experiment loop, so creating goals and validating them. And now, let's see how we can make it more explicit. This is an example again, like adding to our more or less standard Kanban board 2 more states, 2 more value-added activities, which are collecting feedback and elaborating feedback, which are tightly connected to our experiment loop. So, we form an hypothesis and we implement it. Then we experiment and measure after deploying to the customers. We inspect the feedback that we can collect from the customers, and we tie back everything to the discovery state, where we adapt based on actual data. based not only on gut feelings, on just hypothesis of value, but on something which has been measured. Maybe that the first time your metrics will not work as expected. Maybe that sometimes you get some fake data, but it's always a matter of improving also the collection of data. But in the long run, the perspective is realistic, and it's actually real, yes. So this way we are closing the feedback loop, and we are able to understand what's the best thing to do next. What's the best thing to do next based, again, on evidence. So, the thing is, we cannot have, I think, the perfect product because this is something that maybe is of a different word. Perfection is not of this word. But anyway, yes, we can have a better product. We can improve it. We can have ways to improve it. And we need evidence in order to do that. And finished. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, before we continue to Q&A,
okay,
please screen the QR code and we will go through the questions, if there are some. Regarding to the perfection quote, I heard about one quote with like, you can have it all, but not at the same time.
Yeah, that's a very good one. I'm borrowing it.
Exactly. Okay, so do we have some questions on the slide though?
How frequently would you recommend? Okay.
How frequently would you recommend to gather customer and employee feedback?
Okay, I would say as soon as possible, as much as possible. I would, and I tried to do this with different teams, and it worked. For every single work item, I would find ways of finding a way to collect feedback. So not just collecting feedback for the sake of it. I mean, a general feedback, but being really specific about the feedback that you are collecting. So whenever you deploy a work item, you can have an opportunity to collect feedback. Anyway, at every release, try to find functionalities, maybe groups of functionality that you can monitor in order to have a good perspective about if this area of your product is working or not. And about the employee, as I said before, as frequently as possible, again, maybe a retrospective is a good moment to collect feedback. Collecting feedback every 2, 3, 4 weeks, talking about employees, I think it's could be a good rate. I mean, most of organizations are collecting feedback yearly. And is not so effective. Talking about the actual product and what we can do to improve the life of our employees, because it's all about people.
Exactly.
It's just that. I hope I answered the question.
Okay, so our next question: some real-world example of the bottleneck removed and how it helped the flow.
Okay, bottleneck removed. For example, very often in teams we have silos inside teams, like Q&A area, and whenever the silos are inside the same team, it's not such a bad situation. Very often they are other teams, external teams. In that case, we have bottlenecks that need to be removed. How? For example, trying to make people work more together if we are talking about two different teams. Find ways, possibly, to integrate Q&A teams with the production team. And another example, talking about silos inside that same team, is try not to wait until the end of the sprint or your iteration to test things. Try to hand off the work to the Q&A part of the team as soon as possible. And if it's possible, integrate tests inside your product. So unit testing, TDD, whatever technology is work best in your situation, which is just game changing. For many technical teams I worked with, it was really something that improved drastically the quality of the product.
Yeah, I can confirm we did this in our organization, and this changed the game.
It worked.
It speeded up, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, if we do not have any other question, then thank you very much, Stefano, and please
Thank
big
you.
applause to Stefano.